Now, first thing you're going to see on the walls, you're going to notice on the walls here that I have saws and things hanging up on the walls. Now, one of the things you can do that I recommend, if you have a brick wall or a wall you can actually mount things to, this is one of the things I recommend you do to get these saws and things out of the way so that they're not blocking you when you're trying to work on projects. Now, you're going to notice like these panels right here, these are actual arcade control panel templates that I have when I build my arcade machines. Control panels, and you're going to see I also have pieces of plexiglass also that I use for the control panels as well. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start out on this section over here on the drill press and show you one of the things I do to make my life a little easier. Now you're going to notice in this corner right here, I actually have a stack of wood over here. When I'm working on my drill press, this actually is what I use to use this backing material when I'm drilling wooden things, and also I have some scrap wood here as well. You're going to notice in this little box right here, I have files and things I keep in here. I find these Folger coffee cup things work pretty well for organizing files and things. I have all my files and things in there. And you're going to notice, once again, I have hooks and things on the wall, and I like to hold my square and everything over here, just to kind of keep things out of the way. You notice I use a lot of those there, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and show you, in addition, I'm going to show you how I keep my bolts and things organized as well. Now, one of the things I recommend you do in a shop is, if you can get some of these totes, like we sell these at the Giant where I work at, like Rubbermaid makes these totes are pretty darn convenient. Now you're going to notice I have different bolts and things organized and screws and things based on the sizes that there in these different tubs. I also have a tub that has all my wrenches and things in it as well. I keep everything together, and the nice thing about having these is, if you have to work on a project, you can actually take the tray with you to where you're working, and then when you're done, just put it right back, and that way you don't have screws and things all over the place. You can keep them all in one location. Okay, there you're going to notice next to this that I have bolts and things as well in here as well. Okay, and then you're going to notice I have my moto tool and everything all organized. Now, the one thing I suggest you do with the moto tool, if you don't have a moto tool kit, this is one of the things that I suggest you do. If you buy a moto tool kit like this right here, you're going to have a box and things that will allow you to put your moto tool in here. In addition to this, you're going to have a place to store all your bits and things. And once again, when you need to take it places, it keeps it nice and organized and everything in one spot. Okay? Now, next there, you're going to notice that I use also, I tend to use some of these little trash cans and things also I find pretty handy. Now, in this box right here, I actually have my dowel rods, okay? All my metal rods and things I use, threaded rods and things for projects I keep in this box right here. You're going to see how convenient that is. It makes it very easy to find everything, and that way it's not all over the shop. I keep my sandpaper and everything over here in this tub right here. Then you're going to notice down here on this step right here, I have my electric screwdrivers, and I have my drills and everything all in one spot. Okay, and now what I wanted to also show is I wanted to show you my bolt box. Okay. Now, one of the things that's really nice, I actually used a toolbox and I converted it over for my bolts. There you go. Notice when I lift this up, in that bottom section right there, I have all my tools and things, like my deep well sockets and everything I need to use for projects and things that I have. Okay, and now on top of that, I actually have all my nuts and bolts and things that I have for all my projects all in one spot, which keeps everything nice and organized. And I have all my ratchets and things in this box right here. Okay? All right. Now you're also going to notice here too, something else I was going to suggest too is, one of the things I suggest you do, if you have a lot of miscellaneous bolts and things like nuts and bolts and things, if you can find a box like this, I find this is very, very handy. This actually has compartments in it. This makes it great for keeping keeping screws and things organized, bolts, whatever you have to work with. There's another advantage. When you have a box like this, you can tell how many of these things you have left. So if you have a project you're working on, it's a lot easier to find them because I have them organized by size and type, as you can see here. Okay? Now you're also going to notice I have wing nuts and other bolts and things like that here for projects that I'm using. And I keep them in the pockets as well. Okay, and you're also going to notice that I have lock washers, things like that here. Different different washers and things, fender washers, all sorts of different things for different projects. And by doing this, when I'm working on a project, the great thing about this is, when you have things organized like this, you're not going to end up, by having it organized, I can see what I have in front of me, so I'm not going to end up ordering extra pieces that I don't need. Okay, so this is how I organize my nuts, washers, various things like that in a box like this. And the nice thing too is it has a top that folds down. So when I'm not using it, I can close it. Okay, now the next section I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you how I keep my drill bits organized. Okay, now I actually have all my drill bits and everything in one location. I keep, this is a spot where I actually keep all my drill bits. They stay in here. Then right next to it, I have all the things like the bits I use like for chipping wooden things. That's right next to it. Okay, this is for me, the system works pretty well because you know you can actually get what are called drill caddies, which actually hold your drill bits and show you what sizes and things they are. But for my shop, I found that this works pretty good for what I have here in my shop. Okay, now I'm going to show you how my drawers are organized. Okay, now this is one of the things I suggest you do if you have access to it. If you can get hold of an old dresser like this is pretty handy because this allows me to keep things like miscellaneous hardware and everything in one drawer. Okay, let me show you the next drawer. Okay, then in this drawer right here, then I have files and other things I need, miscellaneous ratchets, things like that, things that I need to use for other projects. Okay. Then I have the next drawer. Okay, now in this drawer right here, these are miscellaneous parts I use for the arcade machines. I have things in here like casters I use for the rollers and the cabinets. Then I have brackets and things I use to build the cabinets with, and that's what I keep in this drawer here. Okay. Then you're going to notice in the bottom drawer here, I have electrical supplies. Like I have extension cords if I need to make a project, and other things in the bottom drawer. Okay? Okay, now one of the things I also was going to suggest doing is, in my workshop, I tend to like to keep these big old pickle barrels. I find these things are pretty handy. This actually is how I keep my vacuum organized. You know, I have my vacuum here. Okay, if you want to learn about vacuums, just see the Let's Talk Shop Vacuums video, and that'll show you about the different vacuums that I use in my shop as well, including this Craftsman one here that I have. Now you're going to notice that I keep my vacuum cleaner hoses and things in this box right here. Keep them right here in this big pickle barrel here, okay? Then right across from this, I actually have my table saw. Now, I actually have the table saw covered up right now, but my table saw's under here. I actually have it covered up right now because I'm not using it right now. And one of the things I was going to suggest is when you're not using equipment, especially in an area like this, like in this area right here, I like to try to keep a cover on the equipment when I'm not using it. Now, it depends on where the equipment is too, also in relation to your shop. I haven't used this in a while, so I'm just keeping the cover on it for now. But then eventually when I use it, then I'll take the cover off. Okay. Now in this next drawer down here, this is where I have all my pens and marking things that I use here. They're right in this box right here. I have all my Sharpie markers and things in there. Okay, then I have a drawer below that. Okay, this is a drawer I keep all my things like wheels and stuff like that for my drill. You know, for removing rust and things. They're kept in here in addition to sanders and other things there and there. Then down below that, I also have a nice little spot here for my saw that goes in there. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to show you where I store some of my metal and things for the projects as well. Now, you're going to notice this box right here. Once again, I used a trash can. I find these trash cans are great for this workshop. This is where I store all my miscellaneous steel and things like that. As you're going to see, like these steel brackets and things, they actually go in here. I can actually keep them in here. And then in addition to that, I also have small pieces of metal and things too. I have pieces of tubing that I use for projects. All the things that are kind of hard, that are bulky and kind of fall over, I kind of keep in here. And then inside that, I have a pickle barrel that holds everything together there as well. Okay? There you're going to notice over here, I actually have my extension cords and things like that. Now, you can hang your extension cords in various places. I like to keep them over here on top of this hand car right here because it makes it pretty convenient. Okay? Now I'm actually going to show you how I organize my wood and everything over here in the corner. Okay, now this is my, this over here, this is actually a wood planer that I have as well. Now, I haven't used this wood planer in a while, but this is actually a wood planer I have over here as well. Okay, now this section in here, this actually is where I have all my wood organized. Now we're going to basically start from the right and work our way left. Okay, now what you're going to notice on here is, this is actually one of the templates. If you watch how I build my arcade machines, this is one of the actual templates that I made to build my arcade machines, okay? And then I kind of try to keep my wood and everything organized according to where it's at. Now, I like to keep it over on this side of the wall. That way it's out of the way when I'm not using it. But this is kind of like my private stash of wood that I have over here. I keep 2x4s and things in here, and I keep small pieces of lumber in here. I also have things like flat pieces of plywood and things that I use for various projects over here. Then I have my longer pieces of plywood over here, okay? Now, these are going to be things that I use for bigger projects and things like that. I tend to keep these stacked up on the wall. Then right next to it, I have my smaller pieces of plywood as well that I use. And then I also have a miscellaneous box that has small pieces of lumber and things that I use for other projects, okay? And then I also have another box here that also has additional things that I use for projects and things like that. You know, there's extra pieces of plastic and things like that in here. I keep them inside these bins. Now, one of the nice things about keeping your wood inside these bins is when you go to clean the workshop, it's a lot easier having them in bins like this because then you can just move the bins out of the way and clean behind them and then put them back up against the wall. It makes it easier keeping everything organized. Okay, so now you basically get an overview of what the shop looks like. Okay, where I build all my projects. Okay? Now you get an idea what it looks like. Okay, so I hope this video's been able to help you. Main thing is it'll just give you some ideas on how you can organize your workshop based on what you have. Now, you're also going to find that depending on how much space you have, I have a fairly compact workshop in here, so I don't have a whole lot of room. So organization in here is a little more important. If you have a little bit larger workshop, one of the great things would be I would love to have more workbenches and things in here. Unfortunately, I don't have enough room in here for all those, but I think the organization in this room works pretty well. And this might give you some ideas how to organize your own workshop.